South America. We have a seaport called Barranquilla, and we have a river called the river Rio Magdalena. This river runs from the sea in the inland area, and the first part is a very good waterway, so it's navigable with fairly big vessels with push combinations, so they can use that. So here we find a lot of inland shipping. On this part, where the water depth goes down, we hardly see any commercial inland waterway transport taking place, because of the fact that the navigability is limited and the distance is quite far to and from the seaport. So for cost reasons, so if you want to set up an inland waterway service between an inland city and the seaport, it's very costly. So it does not happen because the vessels are too small. One of the things that I told yesterday, that we have worked on the master plan for Colombia. One of the things that came up based on the example of hub and spoke is that at this location, we could think of developing a hub as well. Here we have the seaport of Barranquilla, here we have the seaport of Cartagena. This is on the west side, this is on the north side. Here's a canal, which is at this moment only navigable for small vessels, but they are upgrading this canal. And we think that once this canal is ready, that in this area you could set up a hub doing exactly the same. You could ship from the seaport to here, and from this seaport to the hub with fairly big vessels. You can have a quick transfer and go with smaller vessels up and down the river. That means that we can expand the reach of inland waterways from this point all the way to inland destinations and all the cities alongside the river. That is good for economic development of the areas alongside the river, and it's good for inland shipping. So this is one example where we think that the added value of inland shipping and putting in this hub will create a huge benefit in the future. Yeah, so Colombia. Then India. We have a similar situation in India. Here we have the port of Kolkata. This is the Indian Ocean over here, and here we have a water depth of 7 meters. Here we have water depths of 5 meters. Here, water depth of 3.5 meters. Here, water depth of 2.2 meters and 2.5 meters. This is a ship lock. At the moment, we find inland transportation, inland shipping, from here to a big power plant, which is located here. So coal vessels go up and down the river. Here we have transshipment in the sea. So a ship comes in with coal, it is transferred to an inland barge, it sails up the river to the power plant. Alongside the waterway, we have other power plants here, but very limited water depth. So the Indian government tries to set up inland shipping to these power plants as well. So far, economically, this was not yet feasible because of the fact that they have to go through the ship lock, then they have to sail all the way to here, which can be, let's say, up to maybe 1,000 kilometers from the seaport. Let's say this is about 600 kilometers from the seaport. It does not happen because they would have to sail with fairly small vessels all the way through the ship lock to this destination, which is economically not feasible. Up to here, is economically feasible. What we are now trying to develop is a similar hub concept in this area. So we can transport with bigger vessels to the hub, change to smaller vessels, and continue in the shallow draft waterway. That's one idea. The second idea is that we do it on this location. This location, where we have 5-meter draft, we can use coastal ships, because this is the last point where we have tidal influence. And with the tidal influence, the water depth here is, let's say, 5 or sometimes more. So we could use coastal or riverine vessels to sail to this point. And we could change here and then use smaller vessels to go up the river. This again is a similar type of example with a new concept which is not existing, which will expand the influence of inland waterways maybe up to 1,000 kilometers inland. So that is, it's not done. It's not done because it's not feasible, but it's not done because no one has ever developed this. So only by, let's say, by making good calculations, by looking at the navigability conditions, by looking at the vessel possibilities, we think that these type of concepts, that they could be developed. Okay, in this case, we have now the World Bank behind. The World Bank is supporting this whole idea, this whole concept, and we hope, sorry, I have to close it. So what World Bank says, we like the idea of expanding the reach of inland waterways. So they are now setting up a project within the project unit, within the Waterway Authority, to see whether we can actually realize this concept. Yeah. Again, like I said, it's not rocket science. It's not high technology. It's just a matter of logistic thinking and finding a model where inland waterway can fit in the supply chain. Okay, so those are two examples of things in practice where we can do that. Like I said, I haven't been in Vietnam for a few years, but I think it's a similar things you can use as well. Let's say from your port, from Saigon, Newport, you can find inland destinations. You can think about the idea to set up inland terminals, inland hubs, to expand the reach of the port. Okay? So maybe, I don't know whether there's time in your program to think a little bit more about things like that. How you can implement inland shipping in the concept. Okay, we move to